Today, we are diving into the incredible story of Vasuki, the Serpent King. And his tale? Well, it's not just a myth. It's a saga of a sacrifice so deep, so profound, it would echo through all of time.
I mean, just think about that for a second. What kind of being could possibly represent such a wild contradiction? This is the heart of the paradox of Vasuki, a creature of immense power who chose a path of just absolute devotion. His story goes so much deeper than just being a divine necklace.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Is he just a snake, or is he something more? We kind of have to look past the scales and the fangs to really get at the philosophy behind this legend.
As we explore his story, really keep this question in the back of your mind. Because Vasuki's choices, they reveal this incredible truth about what service, leadership, and even power are all about.
All right, so first things first, let's establish who exactly Vasuki was. He wasn't just any serpent. He was royalty, a ruler with a whole realm and a ton of responsibility.
You see, Vasuki was born into a pretty epic family. His mother, Kadru, gave birth to thousands of Nagas. His older brother was the famous Sheshnag. But while Sheshnag was busy holding up the earth, Vasuki was holding his kingdom together as the king of Nagalok. This was a subterranean realm, just filled with jewels and wisdom. He even had the legendary Nagamani, a jewel so bright it could light up his entire kingdom.
And this is where we see a really crucial difference. His brother Sheshnag, he's all about power and patience, serving as Lord Vishnu's cosmic throne, literally his couch. But Vasuki, he chose a totally different path, one of pure, unadulterated sacrifice and devotion to Lord Shiva. He became not a seat of power, but a living, breathing symbol of service. Two incredible beings, two completely different ways of being.
And he was, by all accounts, a true king. The scriptures describe his rule as one of total fairness. It didn't matter if you were a tiny little serpent or a massive, mighty one. In Vasuki's court, justice was equal for everyone. And this sense of nobility, it's absolutely key to understanding the sacrifices he was about to make.
But all that nobility, well, it was about to be tested in the most extreme ways imaginable. We now come to the very core of his legend, a series of unbelievable acts that really define his devotion and his sacrifice.
Way before he was famous, Vasuki felt this overwhelming, unshakable desire to serve Lord Shiva. And to make it happen, he undertook this absolutely brutal penance. He went to a cave in the Himalayas and just sat, giving up food and water for years. Storms raged, fires burned all around him, his body was covered by termites, but he did not move. His focus was absolute. And this incredible display of devotion, well, it eventually got the attention of Shiva himself. And this moment reveals everything about who he was. When Shiva, the Lord of the entire universe, offered him anything he wanted, power, riches, immortality, Vasuki asked for nothing. His only desire was to be in service, to just be near his Lord. Shiva was so moved by this selflessness that he granted him a place no one else had, right around his own neck.
But his greatest trial? Wow, it was still to come. During the great Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean, the gods and demons needed a rope strong enough to churn a mountain, so they came to Vasuki. He absolutely knew this would mean unimaginable pain, his body literally being ripped apart. But for the good of the cosmos, he said yes. As he was pulled from both sides, his body was shredded and burned, and deadly fire and smoke just erupted from his mouth, scorching the demons. And he endured it all in total silence. Then, when the lethal Hala Hala poison emerged, threatening all of creation, it was Shiva who drank it, and Vasuki, wrapped around his neck, shared in that agony, cementing their eternal bond.
And his devotion was just limitless. Later on, when Shiva set out to destroy the demonic city of Tripurasura, he needed a string for his divine bow. And who stepped up? Vasuki, again. He offered himself, becoming the actual instrument of cosmic justice. He was always ready, always selfless.
But Vasuki's story isn't just about these grand cosmic battles. It's also a deeply personal tragedy, one that started with a conflict sparked by his very own mother.
The story goes that his mother, Kadru, made this really foolish bet with her sister that a divine horse's tail was black, when it was obviously white. So, to avoid becoming a slave, she ordered her own sons, the Serpents, to go and cover the tail with their bodies to make her lie look like the truth.
So what happens? Many of the Nagas, being honorable, refuse to go along with the lie. And Kadru's reaction? Just pure rage.
She laid this horrific curse upon her own children that they would all, one day, be destroyed in a great fire sacrifice. It's a timeless lesson, right? A single personal failing of a leader, or a parent, can set a tragic destiny in motion for generations.
And for generations, that curse just hung over them. It was a storm cloud on the horizon, until finally, the day of reckoning arrived in the most terrifying way.
Years later, a king named Janajaya, who was seeking revenge for his father's death by a serpent's bite, began the Sarpa Yagna, a ritual designed to wipe out all serpents. Kadru's curse came true. Through the power of chance, thousands of Nagas were helplessly pulled from their homes, from their families, and consumed by these sacrificial flames. Nagalok was filled with screams.
And here is the absolute tragedy of it all. Vasuki, the mighty king, the one who endured the churning of the ocean, was completely powerless. He could do nothing against a mother's curse. As he watched his brothers, his subjects, his entire race being annihilated, he wept. But even in that darkest moment, his prayers weren't for himself, but for the salvation of his people.
And right then he remembered an ancient prophecy that his nephew, Astika, born of his sister, would be their savior. So the young sage Astika went to the sacrifice. He so impressed King Janamejaya with his wisdom that the king offered him any boon he wanted. And Astika's request was simple and just so powerful: end this sacrifice. The king, bound by his word, had to agree. The serpent race was saved.
And all this sacrifice, brings us to Vasuki's ultimate legacy, a validation that comes from the highest possible source, and it cements his place in history forever.
In the Bhagavad Gita, when Lord Krishna is revealing his divine nature to Arjuna, he lists the greatest of all things to represent himself. He says things like, "Among rivers I am the Ganges, among warriors I am Arjuna," and then he says this, "Of serpents I am the Suki." I mean, there can be no greater honor than that. And today, Vasuki's legacy is everywhere, if you know where to look. He's honored every single year during the festival of Nag Panchami. He is the serpent you see wrapped around every single Shiva lingam in every temple, eternally in service. He remains this timeless symbol of what it truly means to be a devotee, a selfless protector, and a just leader.
So we end up right back where we started. Vasuki's story really forces us to think, doesn't it? In a world that so often measures success by what we get, by what we accumulate, his life suggests a completely different way of looking at things. So what is the true measure of greatness? Is it what we are willing to ask for? Or is it, like Vasuki, what we are willing to give?